Good afternoon, everybody. Thank you to, or welcome to the Virtual College Exploration for Ohio Students, which is sponsored by the Ohio Association for College Admission Counseling and StriveScan. Thank you so much for joining us this afternoon. Just a few housekeeping announcements before we get started. You can use the Q&A button on your screen to type your questions to our presenters at any time. As a reminder, your camera and microphone are off, so the panelists cannot see or hear you. This is just one of many different sessions that are happening, so please feel free to check out the full schedule online at oacac.org. And then the final reminder is that this presentation is being recorded, be available within a week at the same website, which again is oacac.org. And now I'd like to turn it over to our presenters. Take it away, Karen.
Great, thanks for the introduction. And I am sharing my screen here now. Hopefully this will work. It just did a minute ago. Is it sharing? Can everyone see that?
I don't see it quite yet.
Uh-oh. Let's see. Sharing my screen.
I can see it now.
Okay, good. Thanks for everyone for hanging in there. Zoom is a new feature for many of us to navigate this year. So welcome to our virtual session. My name is Karen Wellman. I'm one of the admissions counselors at the Cleveland Institute of Art. And today I'm going to go over our portfolio prep with you. So this is really information about putting together the best portfolio you can when you're applying to our school. So a lot of schools, of course, are going to require you to have, trying to move forward here. A lot of schools are going to require you to, of course, turn in your transcripts, a lot of recommendation, your application, but we are also going to require a portfolio when you're applying to our school. So again, your application and then your portfolio and your transcript are the things we're going to look at when you're applying. And then also, I'll go over this at the end about the other requirements that we'll also look at or the options. So when you're putting your portfolio together, things you want to think about, again, it's really the cornerstone of your application here at CIA. So being an art school, we have 15 different majors, all in the visual arts. And so that's, definitely something hopefully you're working on now in your high school program and have been maybe for a couple of years. You want to think about adding to your portfolio right now, if you can, especially if you're seniors. So we're going to look at things like your perceptual skills, how you're seeing those objects in space and getting that information down on the page, how you deal with concept or ideas in your work, how you are dealing with composition, whether it be a 2D composition or maybe you're doing a sculptural outdoor found object piece that you're displaying. How are you going to assemble that? And also your craftsmanship. So how you're working with the media that you chose to work with. So it's pretty simple here. It's pretty straightforward at CIA. The portfolio requirement is 12 to 20 images of your best work. So you want to really focus on editing down your portfolio to your top pieces. And really, it can be anything. So sometimes the 12 to 20 images are drawings. So sometimes students that are applying to our school, many of them have done more traditional type artwork, having drawing, painting in their portfolio. So that's great. So if you're going to have drawings, mostly drawings, maybe you're going to vary that up a little bit by the different type of style of line work that you're doing, different variations in value ranges, different things that you're drawing, vary it from still lifes to portraits. Also, feel free to include prints, printmaking, if you've done lithography, etching, silk screening, if you've done silk screening of t-shirts, feel free to put that work into your portfolio as well. Also, like I said, painting, of course, another kind of major component that most students are putting in their portfolio is painting. So whether that be oil, water, acrylic, abstract, figurative, you get that work in there. Also photography, we have a lot of photographers applying to our school. We have a great program in that area too. So whether it be artistic photography, commercial photography, journalistic photography, black and white, color, portrait work, get that work in your portfolio. Also sculptural, again, sculptural pieces, whether it's maybe a series of work that you've put together, whether it be an idea that's figurative or abstract, you can add sculpture. You can also do mixed media or found object work or upcycling. A lot of students are trying to upcycle and going green and trying to kind of help the environment by using that recyclable material and then creating artwork out of it. So feel free to do that. Sometimes you can find things around your house, sometimes in your backyard, sometimes around your community. So maybe that's something you're doing already. Maybe you're making, some students have made recyclable items and made purses out of that material. Or sometimes it's creating a sculpture using that found object work. Also computer generated work. So of course, nowadays, lots of computer generated work, whether it be your graphic design work, maybe you're in a more formal program and you're doing logo design, you're learning how to do Photoshop, Illustrator, definitely include that work in your portfolio. But it can also be abstract work, 2D imagery. If you're working on, on conceptual designs, you can put that in there as well. And then illustration, of course. So maybe you're a student that has developed your own unique character, put those in there. Sometimes it's sketches from your sketchbook that you created, or if you have some more maybe advanced characters and you've done a turnaround with that character. So you're showing the front, behind scenes, side view, and then the 3/4 view, front and back, put that in there as well. Also storyboarding, if you've done some storyboarding with your illustration, you could do that. And sometimes that happens too with animations. Maybe you storyboard a short animation, you can include that storyboard then before you would show us maybe the animation work or before you put in that storyboard. So if you've done any short animations, short video clips, you can upload that into your portfolio. And here is a still image. You could always show us still shots as well. And then also, even if it's a beginner level, so I think sometimes students, when they're applying to our school, they're a little afraid to maybe put that beginner level animation in there, but that's fine. What's great is, sometimes you're just learning that skill set. Sometimes you've been in drawing and painting classes or photo classes for most of your high school career, and now you're just touching upon maybe animation. So if you have, the beginning stages of how a ball bounces across the floor, or how a person walks across the screen. Maybe you're just learning to add music or other types of visuals into that work that you're doing. Feel free to show that. It at least shows us a skill set that you're doing and can be helpful when we're looking at your portfolio. Also, again, any material that you're working with, clay, if you've done ceramic, if you're doing jewelry and metal work, glass objects, all of that is acceptable to put in your portfolio. And you don't have to have what you would like to major in your portfolio, but it can be helpful because it's helpful just to kind of know what that experience would be like to have done it before you maybe major in that in college. So again, just kind of going back to animation, animation is mainly done on the computer. So if you're a student that maybe prefers drawing or painting and not work on a computer, maybe you would go into a field then that would stick with drawing, painting, or printmaking, or one of those types of areas. Or if you like computer work, then maybe you go into graphic design, animation, or our game design program. And all of our programs are listed on our website. We're at cia.edu, so you could definitely take a look at all the different majors that we offer in the art and design areas. So again, just to go over, what to focus on in your portfolio, it's really about editing down your work to put in your strongest pieces. And you want to focus on your work from your junior and senior year. So I know that students you do a lot of work during your freshman, sophomore, junior, senior. What happens is, though, that skill set usually builds up. So your junior and senior work should be stronger than your freshman and sophomore year. If it's not, then you really need to add more work and build up those skill sets to create those better pieces. So maybe you did a strong piece a little while ago, recreate that work, do it 2 or 3 times, and really create a body of work so you have more work to choose from when you're editing down your top pieces. Sometimes when you edit work down, you can think about the concept, what's showing the strongest concept, the strongest idea, that what evokes an emotion when someone's looking at your work, or what are you trying to express or explain. And maybe it's a social commentary statement or a current event. So take a look at that type of work. Also technical skill. So if there's something that you've done very well technically, show some of that skill set in your portfolio. And then also those pieces that have your own unique skill set or your own unique creativity. Those are great pieces to put in too. So, take a look at all your pieces. Sometimes your high school teacher, your art teacher is the best person to help you do that. But also as an admissions counselor, you can schedule an appointment to meet with us virtual. Right now, we're not doing appointments on campus yet, but during the fall, we'll definitely do virtual visits to help you edit your portfolio down. And then just to continue, if you need to add more work to your portfolio, think about developing a series of work. Again, think about the pieces that were successful that you already did, something you like doing, and just do that a couple of times, and you could add a little bit of a series of work within your portfolio. And then also, as you're uploading your work, when you're turning that in your application, think about the order how your portfolio is presented to us. So when you're uploading your images, you of course want to make sure that they're upright. So when we're looking at your work, we're looking at the images the way it's supposed to be. So straight up and down, or horizontal if it needs to be that way. Think about how you're arranging those pieces. So maybe you have black and white pieces and then color work. You can arrange it that way. Or maybe it's by media. Maybe you have painting, maybe you do ceramics, and then maybe you have digital work and you're going to organize your work by media. And sometimes it's by composition. Sometimes it's by having portrait work and then having pieces that are maybe have a little more in-depth compositions because they're detailed still life pieces that you put together. And then sometimes it's concept based. And sometimes you're in AP classes and you're kind of already thinking about this concept or idea and having a series of work. So for students that are in AP classes, hopefully you can use most of that work and then get that into your portfolio. So what I'm going to show you next is 4 students that graduated recently from our school, and this is their actual work that they put in their portfolio when they were applying to our school. So Betsy Bamford, she was from the New York area, and she was going into and majored in our life sciences illustration program. And you do have to have, in particular, a strong interest in science in that field and a strong drawing skill capability. So some of our majors are going to require you just to have a little difference of a skill set, maybe compared to some other different majors. So the first picture she had was a still life. This piece is a floral work that she created. So she had some black and white imagery, some color work. And then this is a great kind of time piece, like a concept of time with this bitten apple and a series of that. So that's kind of a good way to show that. So she also used different types of media. So not everything was on paper or canvas. She painted on wood. So this is a wood piece. And this is an illustration piece. So students that are interested in illustration, come up with some unique ideas. This is a really great piece that really invokes kind of a storytelling piece here. So think about, again, your own style when you present your work to us and, create that story that you would like to create. This is a unique piece here, kind of fun, using some texture and some different body parts here within this drawing work. And this was a scratch board piece that she created. So some really great detail in here. And then this is a great, the next three pieces are a series of work of digital paintings that she did. So I like to show this to students again when we talk about having a series of work that really kind of can show off that unique individual style that you do, or that thing that you like to do. Especially if you've done, some students have done a lot of quick, maybe figure drawing, or, sketches in their sketchbook of human anatomy. Feel free to use those images, and kind of like with the tree bark with the teeth and the ears, and then these pieces, you can mix it up a little bit and add something to it so they become more like abstract, or bring your own idea and imagination into it. Next we have Maeve McNamara, and she was a student that actually went into our photography department, but in her portfolio she had a sculptural piece. If you're putting in sculptural work, usually, it's okay to have a hand, or, showing us the size or scale of your work. Always make sure, though, there's a plain black or white background so it's not distracting. You could also use a coin or a ruler to represent the size of your image. There's also, when you're uploading your work into the application, there's an area for description. So you could write title, media, and size of each piece. And also you can explain the materials that you used and how you did it. And sometimes you want to maybe explain the concept behind your pieces. She had a couple of drawings in her portfolio, and some of them came from her sketchbook. And so that's fine as well. If you have a couple images that, worked out well in your sketchbook and you want to take a couple pages of that, feel free to show us that. Some students use their sketchbook more than others, so it's not a mandatory thing. But again, if you have a couple images that are well drawn and you want to show us, or some different creative pieces you have in there, you can do that. This is a great piece here because it kind of shows all the different types of drawing techniques kind of on one page, and then it's got a really interesting composition on here as well. So there's some pointillism, hatchwork, variations of texture and value ranges. So again, explore some of these ideas if you haven't thought about them already, and or utilize them in your own work. And this is some of her photography work. She had, again, some color work in there, some black and white. If you're doing still lifes, or if you're out in nature, or you're doing portraits, you want to think about light sources, how you're utilizing your light and shadows. Sometimes maybe you're using Photoshop Illustrator to recreate, distort, combine images. And again, she had a little bit of a series of work with her model that she used here. And so it could be portrait work. And then also, this is kind of a more deconstructed piece here, really evoking more mood and emotion in this piece, a more contemporary piece. So feel free to add that work as well. Then next up we have Harry Pappas. He went through our graphic design program, and these are a couple images that he created representing different cities. And he also had some drawing work in his portfolio. He used black paper for some of these that really can make some of the images stand out. Great, interesting perspective piece. Again, focus on those technical skills, perspective, proportion, value ranges. If your portrait work is strong, add that. Set up some still lifes. Now that we're home a lot, or maybe sitting in certain locations for a longer period of time, feel free to set up your own still lifes, draw those, get that into your portfolio. You can always find something interesting around you to draw. And then these are kind of fun. I think this shows off his sort of creativity and his own unique point of view in these pieces, that he put himself into these scenes. So kind of seamlessly. So these are interesting, and also, again, creates a series of work. And then last but not least, we have Kevin Zapata. He was from a school in the Miami area, and he majored in our industrial design program. So if you're a student that's interested in like product design, transportation design, toy design, furniture design, shoe design, this is an area for you. It's a design area. We have a couple design areas, digital areas, as well as fine art areas, and craft areas at our school. So Kevin put in some drawing work, some painting work, some portrait pieces. Again, interesting perspective of, have friends or family members sit for you and draw them. Again, we're home a lot nowadays, so take advantage of that time. He did a painting of a dog and a house. So you want to, like, again, vary your work a little bit. It's good to have, instead of having all portraits, have some exterior pieces, portrait work, still life pieces, using mixed media. It doesn't always have to be a drawing or painting on paper or canvas. It can be cardboard. Again, think about the idea of upcycling, recycling, or just combining materials. And then Kevin's work, he had a series of work here, which are concept boards. So maybe you're a student that's done this, maybe you haven't, but it's a good idea for if you're thinking about a final product or project, these are the steps you would take to get there. And so sometimes it's drawing it out, sometimes it's constructing it with maybe a construction board or styrofoam or clay. And it's also about maybe doing some research. So research a couple people and ask them ideas. And, for car design, you have to figure out how a human body is going to fit in the car that you're designing. How many passengers are going to be in there? Those sort of things. Who's going to buy the car after you design this? What are people looking for? So those are things that you would research, get your concepts and ideas down. And you want to start from reality with this, but then you could break it down into your concepts or ideas. So getting outside and drawing realistic cars at first, and then develop them into your own unique ideas for futuristic designs, possibly. Another inspiration board here that he had. And another one here. This is of a ceiling fan. And another inspiration board as well. And a couple other concepts that he had. And so that's the end of the series of our students' work. So again, I hope that was inspiring. I hope that gave you some idea. Again, those are just examples. It's not limited to that. There's definitely students that are doing more animation and video work and game design pieces. And again, I do apologize, due to the virtual situation we're in, we didn't want to run any videos because we didn't want to risk the chance of not having them run smoothly. So videos you can upload, and all the different kind of formats are up when you apply to our school. It'll give you all the different types of programs you can run. If we see it come across our end and we can't view it, we'll definitely reach out to you and let you know to try to re-upload that. So again, just to summarize, so submitting your portfolio, you're going to submit your portfolio within the actual CIA application. So we do not accept the Common App, only our own CIA application. It is free of charge, however, so that's great, right? So students are applying now. You can start as early as today if you wanted to start applying. Within the actual application, there's going to be an area for you to upload your images. So your portfolio is uploaded right in your application, just like, different types of social media formats. It's pretty simple. But I would say, like I talked about before, make sure you have your images organized so as you upload them, they're in an order you want them to be. Make sure, again, that they're all right side up how you want us to view them. And you really want your portfolio to look as professional as you'd want the rest of your application to be. Here's a couple dates I'm throwing out there for you. So December 1st is our first early action deadline. These are not early decision, just early action. It's just to get students a deadline, just to try to make that. So December 1st is coming up. And then January 15th, we really recommend all students try to meet at least that January 15th deadline. So most students are going to apply between now and mid-January. So make sure you have everything complete and turned in. March 1st is becoming really late for students to be turning things in, but we want to give you that time frame just in case maybe you're, especially this year, things are a little bit out of whack. So, but for the most part, be working on your work, be turning things in. Again, between now and December 1st is a great time to submit your application, your portfolio, include your high school transcript, get with your guidance counselor to make sure you have that turned in. And so we're going to look at your transcripts and your portfolio to base your scholarship, your merit-based scholarship on. The SAT or ACT is optional. So if you are a student that tests better than your GPA equivalent, then you'll want to send us those scores in. But if you're a student that does not test well, you do not need to send us your scores. Also with that, a lot of recommendation, we would prefer to have a lot of recommendation, preferably from an art teacher. It could come from your guidance counselor as well, or maybe it's someone that you did an internship with, or you worked at during the summer at an arts organization or museum, or had an experience working with kids at a summer program, or whatever opportunities you had, you can have someone do that letter of recommendation, but we would prefer it come from an art teacher. Also a personal statement. So personal statements are actually optional at our school. However, we would prefer that you write one. Take some time, whether it's a paragraph or 2 or 3. Tell us about yourself. We'd love to hear from you. We'd love to hear about your passion for your art, maybe why you chose to go in this artistic direction, what inspired you, maybe what you want to do, or what you plan to do with an art degree after leaving CIA. So at CIA, you get a BFA, Bachelor's of Fine Arts. We definitely have a strong internship program here and career services department that works with students to get you on that path, to get you that career in art and design. So, talk about that in your personal statement, and that will help us understand who you are. And lastly, we're here to help. So again, we're not doing campus visits this fall. We might be able to do them this spring. We are, in fact, our students, part of the reason is because our students are in classes in the building. So we have one big expanded building where our students are actually, because we're a small school, there's only a little over, there's about 650 students overall in our school. So it's a lot of personalized attention, but we were able to keep the group small this fall and have students back in their studio spaces working on their studio projects. So the liberal arts classes are online, so they are still doing creative writing, art history, philosophy, psychology, anthropology type classes online. But it was really important for us to manage to get our students back in the classroom because that's why they're here and wanted to be here. And so they were happy with that decision. And so we're trying to keep it safe for our students. So again, there's no actual on-campus visits yet this fall. We're hoping to project to have them back in the spring. But in the meantime, call, email us on our webpage to cia.edu. There's an area where you could email us to schedule a visit, and we could do a virtual visit with you online, either through Google Meets, on Zoom, or if you just have artwork, maybe you have artwork on your Instagram account or Google Drive, wherever you have your work, you can send us that direction to look at it. We can give you some feedback, either through email, through Loom, or again, through a virtual visit through Google Meets or Zoom. We can set up an actual meeting. And then also the National Portfolio Days are coming up. So if you've heard about those, great. If not, if you go to nationalportfolioday.org, it'll give you the list of all the dates. They're pretty much one every weekend this fall. And again, it's a new year. So bear with us as we all kind of figure this out at the same time, but we're gonna be, I think, at each one of those events. And or again, feel free to reach out to us if you want a review of your work. So I think I covered a lot of information. Again, we're at cia.edu, ton of information about the majors, our alums, what they're doing out in the world. Also, again, the application is free. You could start applying today. Try to get everything in by December 1st, January 15th. That gives you more time then to work out your financial aid if you are accepted to our school, and instead of waiting until that March 1st deadline. And then also, again, traditional deadline for you if you are accepted to respond to our school is usually May 1st. So just keep that in mind as well. That's why most students are applying and having everything turned in, usually some point in the winter time. So I hope that covers everything. I don't know if anyone had any questions for today. Let's see, I have one here. So let's see, just to make sure, if I wanted to major in animation, is it mandatory to add any animation? So again, no, you do not. If you want to major in animation, you don't have to have animation in your portfolio. If you want to major in ceramics, you do not have to have ceramics in your portfolio. What you do want to do, however, is when you apply, it'll ask for your first choice and second choice major. So when you apply to our school, you get accepted into our major. So if you put your first choice major as animation, also, pick a second choice. And just, again, it's really about putting your best foot forward and the best work you can in your portfolio. So I hope I answered that. And on to the next question. What if you no longer have an art teacher? So yeah, I know this can be a tough year for some students. So if you're not in a program, if you're not in an art class now, maybe your art teacher retired, maybe you're just doing virtual classes, etc. Have one of the teachers that you are most familiar with do your letter of recommendation for you, and or your guidance counselor. What we're looking for in a letter of recommendation is just how you are as a student. So sometimes the art teacher is the best at doing that, because usually a lot of art students that come to our school, they're just most familiar, they're in the art room the most, they've had them for 4 years, they've taken art classes. But sometimes there's a student that, the last year, their senior year, they decide to, that they want to go into art. They hear that, one of our majors that they haven't heard of before. And that's fine too. It can be an English teacher, it can be a guidance counselor. Feel free to reach out to any of your teachers to do a lot of recommendation, and again, or someone that has known your work skills, your work ethic. Do you show up? Are you a leader? Do you help out other people? How are you? Sometimes students, are, doing well in other areas, and it can help reflect when you're in the arts. So I hope that answered your question. And okay, great. So anybody else, any other questions? I think we have some more time here. I think. Okay, so it looks like Tom answered this one. Tom's the associate director here at CIA, so he's also online helping with questions. So yeah, so 12 to 20 pieces total. It can be 12, it can be 20. It's really just, it can be 13, 14, 15. However, sometimes students have, upload 12 images, but maybe one of the image is they were in ceramics and they did a series, they did like a plate, bowl, cup series, and they put all those images on one. Sometimes jewelry makers do the same thing. They do a necklace, bracelet, a couple of rings, and they want to just put that all on one page. You can do that. Or you can do single shots of those. So whatever you prefer, whatever makes sense with you and your work. Oh, so I think I might have exited out of my own screen there, or time is running up. Let's see, any more questions? Okay. I think that might be it. So again, if you have any questions, feel free to reach out to us. Call, email or reach out through us through our websites. And again, don't forget the application is free. And thanks all for joining our presentation today. I hope you learned something and something inspired you today. Thanks.
Thank you, Karen.
Thanks.
All right, everyone. Thank you so much for joining us this afternoon. When you close this window, there will be a link for a quick 4-question survey. We would appreciate any feedback that you can provide. Also, again, this was one of just many sessions being hosted, so be sure to sign up for additional sessions at oacac.org. And in about 1 week, you'll be able to find this session's recording as well as others also at oacac.org. Thank you again for joining us, and thank you so much to our facilitators. I hope everyone has a great day.
Thanks everyone for joining. Have a good day.